Is Etica Cytonn? That is a question that we are going to answer today. We have seen this question in numerous channels, including ours. And none of these channels has attempted to answer this question. Neither are the viewers in the comment sections. They have not tried to answer this question. We have done our research qualitatively and quantitatively, and we have come up with facts enough to settle this question. One is that the way the comments are framed, there are two purposes. Either to create a thin veil of caution in investment, or to create a thin veil of insecurity towards investing our investments. In the coming investment year, this is the kind of questions that we'll be expecting to get after we have settled this task. As Shiro PK is asking, why do you love Etica so much? It's not about the love alone. When you satisfy a customer, the customer markets you or tells another person, at least 3 of them. And when you dissatisfy a customer, this customer goes away with 9. And therefore, at this point, it's important to disclose that this is not a sponsored video, and this is based on our research and findings alone. To begin, we need to look at the founders of Etica Capital Limited, because we have done the same for the other when we are reviewing the other money market funds or the fund managers, but I think we overlooked that part when we were looking at a review of Etica Capital Limited. So Etica Capital Limited was founded by 2 able gentlemen, Mr. Maurice Odor, who served as the Chief Investment Officer and rose to the Chief Executive Officer position to date in Etica Capital Limited. And the co-founder was Mr. Jeremiah Chunge, who has remained the Chief Technology Officer at Etica Capital Limited. We'll be looking at the interesting experience and exposure of these 2 gentlemen before founding Etica Capital Limited, and by so doing, we will have answered the question whether Etica is Cytonn. Before we cross over, we need also to admit that most of these fund managers or many institutions are created by individuals who have accumulated their experience and learning by serving in other institutions. And as we can trace, Cytonn asset managers having originated by individuals immediately serving from Britam Asset Managers, Lofty Carbon founders having immediately served at CIC Insurance or CIC Asset Managers, while Dofu Asset Managers from a previous partnership that broke in 2021 with Zimele Asset Managers, and the list is endless. So Etica Capital Limited founders also had their origin from an immediate institution where they were serving as any other person. And we shall be looking at those details after 3 seconds short break. In the meantime, as always, give us a like to this video, engage us in the comment section, because as always, the comment section is our suggestion box. We'll always come there to look at what you're suggesting we look at next, all your questions for our answers. And for those who are sharing this content to other people, you are helping us fulfill our purpose of sharing financial literacy and intelligence in order to grow our community around us. See you after 3 seconds short break. Welcome back, and thank you for your comment, your like and share. The reason why this question keeps popping up is because of this gentleman, Maurice Odor. Maurice Odor had a short period of time serving at Cytonn Asset Managers, where he rose to a position of a senior investment manager. But before then, Morris started his career and joined Africa Asset Managers in 2008. From Gen Africa, he proceeded to Britam Asset Managers, and it's from there that they moved to Cytonn Asset Managers, and for a very short period of time, because in 2019, Mr. Maurice Odwor had joined Gentis Capital Limited, serving as a general manager. It's important, the 2019 period is very important because when you look at the story of Cytonn and at the loss of investor billions in the two unregistered products at Cytonn is touted to have happened, or the rain started beating Cytonn during the COVID period. And therefore, by that time, Mr. Maurice Odwor was already serving at Gentis Capital as a general manager. So the period, our reference period, is the period that he has served in Gentis Capital before proceeding to form or co-found Etica Capital Limited with his co-founder, Mr. Jeremiah Chunge, who also served at Gentis Capital Limited. Gentis Capital Limited is very important at this point because you remember at that time, 2019, is when the pilot project of financial inclusion and low entry investment into the money market was created in partnership between Safaricom, Capital Markets Authority, Gentis Capital, and the Mali Money Market Fund. So by the time of creation and establishment of Mali Money Market Funds, these two gentlemen, the co-founders of Etica Capital Limited, Mr. Maurice Odwor and Jeremiah Chonge, were actively serving in Gentis Capital, who is up to date the fund manager of Mali Market Fund. And therefore, to be factual is that Etica Capital Limited was founded by the two gentlemen from Gentis Capital Limited and not Cytonn Asset Managers. That is enough to settle the question of whether Etica is Cytonn. It should now be framed whether Etica is Gentis, which is also different. But what is important to borrow or to understand is look at the success story of Mali Money Market Fund, which has a fund value that stands at over 3 billion today, and Etica Capital Limited Money Market Fund, which has a fund size that stands at over 4 billion today. The two platforms, the Mali Money Market Fund and the Etica Capital Money Market Fund, which I would say they have the same characteristics but operated by different fund managers. But the fund manager, the Etica Capital Limited, the founders, have the same culture because they are originating from the fund that is running the Mali Money Market Fund, and therefore you can level that ground on the two success stories. That said, Mr. Jeremiah Chunge, formerly at Gentis Capital, is celebrated and honored for having migrated the IT infrastructure of Gentis Capital Limited into a cloud infrastructure. And therefore, he has been celebrated over a long period of time as a professional in cloud computing infrastructure with a huge background in information science. And that is the same person who founded Etica Capital Limited and currently serves as the Chief Technology Officer. And therefore, the convenience, the ease with which you are transacting with Etica Capital, the ease of the 24/7 round-the-clock customer service and responses over the various online channels that can only be attributed to experience and supervision of Jeremiah Chunge. And therefore, to settle that question, Etica Capital would relate its origin to their founders having moved from Genesis Capital Limited and not Cytonn. In our next video, maybe we'll be answering the question by Shirowa PK on why I love Etica so much. But at this point, Etica doesn't sponsor our content. The only relationship we have with Etica, we have our money market funds, two of them sitting with Etica Capital Limited money market funds. See you in our next video and thank you for watching.